Alright, so we're going to do a short video on how to approach or accomplish the grid enlargement assignment we're going to do. So you have a copy of this. You could either print it out and that way you have a physical copy of it. Some of you don't have a printer, so you'll work off your cell phone or your computer, whatever you can view on it. So here's the approach to what we're going to do. So this is the completed 8x10 final version that you're going to do, and the size of the handout or what your original source is going to be quite a bit smaller. It's almost twice as big. I'd say at least twice as big, something around that. So the first thing we're going to do, say this is your paper. You've got the 8x10, 8 inches across, lettered A through H, top and bottom, just like you have it on the original source, the cartoon Falcon. And also A through H on the bottom and 1 through 10. So if your handout doesn't have it, well, my example doesn't have it, you can always write the numbers on there. So I may have added it on there in the example I sent you, but this one doesn't have it, so I'm just going to go ahead and label it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, now that's done. If you print it out, it's a little bit big to maneuver, so I like to fold it right there so we can see the top edge of the A through H. And I've seen some students do this, so I've learned from what people have done in the past. They fold it over so they just see enough of the numbers on the edge. So they have a compact thing. You could even get a piece of tape so it doesn't move. But so here's one approach that I could show you if you print it out. But if you have like a computer screen or you're looking at on your cell phone, it's the same principle. So I'm going to zoom in on the very top. So first we're going to look over here. There's no information on the very top of the first row in the example and also on your paper. There's no information on the second row until 2D. So 2D is the first area we will draw anything. So let's zoom in a little bit more to 2D, and this is the way you'll think when you'll look at it. So 2D, there is a tangent point right there. I'm going to point at it, and that's going to be where the first line is, and it's going to be the back of the head. And this is bigger, so I'm just going to follow the shape. Then I find about here that's going to stop right there, and it's going to go up, and that's going to be the very tip of the head, at least on that part, on the back part of the head. Then it's going to go over, cross over to E. So there's a line between D and E, and as you notice, I have all the letters in between, right in the middle of the box. So please don't make your letters on the line. It should be right where they are here. So anyways, you're going to go over there, then continue over to the next box, which is E. We're going to do it one box at a time, and we're going to go over all the way over to F. Then we'll continue over. I like to get the top of part of the head done. Everybody thinks a little bit differently. I'm going to move the paper over and just go down, and it's going to come to a tangent point on F. So as you see, the contour, which is outline of the head, it follows along box by box, DEF. Okay, then it'll continue on. If you want to do the outside, that's an approach. And there's a tangent here you'll see where the nose gets over there. It continues over to the next box. So we're all the way over to 2, then we go into 3, etc. Okay, so how do we make it to where it gets thick? There's 2 approaches. So you can either draw your simple lines out, then you can thicken up your lines like this in a sense of shading, or I see some students, they like to double line it. That way all they have to do is fill it in. So whatever you choose to do, there's no wrong or right, but you must make your lines at least twice, maybe 3 times as thick. So say if that's the top of the head, and fill it in. Now this is a handout. You know there'll be some scratchiness and just some white speckles in the printout or the handout. So you can just go ahead and make those continuous line and shading. You don't have to simulate the parts where it's broken up in the handout. So you see I made a top line thick. So that's the whole concept. Say if you want to go to the eye, you'll do the same thing. Now you have to get all these little texture of the feathers too. So you must, say if we just focus on E here, we'll see on 3E, there's 2, there's 3E, there is this part, I kind of think of it as an eyebrow, and I just go over there. And in these parts, it helps just to make them hollow. You could do it single line, but then I'll just do the surrounding textures around there. And these are much easier to do if you just draw them as a hollow shape and then shade them in. Then for the eye, that's a very crucial point. Maybe do the outside of the eye first. I'm going to double line it. You could single line it, make it thicker. That's of course. And I notice I made a small overdraw, so I'm going to go back and fix that. And that, if you draw medium light, you can fix that. Then the eyeball is right there, so it's kind of like almost in the center, but to the right. So I'm going to draw that out. So it's all relationship to each other. They're just lines and shapes. Don't even think of it as eye. Just think of it of a partial shape. And draw that. There you go. And this line goes over to the next line. Okay? And after that, you can shade it in like we described before. And you have your eye. Now, I think the most important thing for you as a student is you focus. And you can always just point at what you're doing with your non-drawing hand, and then follow along with your drawing hand and fill it in. See? So box by box. So if I just to follow along, say I would do the back of the head, same thing. I would point at, looks like 3D, then I would go back and follow that line. I like to draw the single line first. And you can just do that. So if you want to just thicken it up, I really think the hollow line is a guaranteed way to make sure your lines get thick. But there's no right or wrong way you could draw a single line and thicken it up. But on the texture of the feathers, I always find it easy just to draw a hollow shape. and fill it in like so. Okay, so let's talk about the other parts. It's helpful, especially when you do the feathers, is just to maybe, if you have a printout, you could go to F, I'm sorry, not F, 5, and go over to the very edge, 5A. So you can also just have your phone next to you. I can't do my phone example because my phone is actually filming this. So you can go over there and just do the same technique. Say you want to go to 4, there's 5. Well, there it is right there. Line them up or have your phone next to it and point out what you want to do. You don't have to necessarily touch it if it's your phone. And draw out your feathers, feather shapes. Take one feather at a time. And you notice there's a jagged shape over here. It's okay to sketch it. So I'm just going to do that part. Then I'm just going to go, I'm going to double line it. It's so wide here, it's probably best to do it hollow. If you single line it, then you have to thicken up quite a bit. So this one goes all the way over here. See how I'm pointing? And I'm just following along. So this is an exercise of how to focus and go box by box. Then of course you would fill it in, then move on to the next box. If you look at the whole thing, you might get overwhelmed. So the key is to go box by box, okay? And point with your index finger of your non-drawing hand to keep track of what you're doing. So that's the way you approach the right side. Say if you were over here, you would just move it over and go to the next box, which is 4A, etc. Some people, I like to sometimes get the outside of the bird done, then go back and do the details. But stick to box by box, and you can't go wrong. All right, so that's the left side, and then the right, and on the bottom, or the right side, let's talk about the right side before we go to the bottom. You can do the same thing. Finish up the nose. So the nose I see goes about right here, so I'm going to draw it out. It's a curve. These are just sets of curves and lines that add up to an overall image. And now you're going to go into beak, okay? So you get the picture about doing the rest. Same thing with the neck. Look where the neck rests. The neck rests on 4, and the most important thing is to get all this beak done. So since I'm right-handed, it might be a little tricky for me to point and show you, but if you just focus on one box by box, you'll just find where this touches here. You can put a point there, the tangent point, or two, or a line and another line meet, and then you'll find that it goes over here. Find that point, it's kind of towards the middle, and draw that line. Then you will draw the top part of the beak, well, actually inside of the beak, and you see how that extends over. It starts going up to a slight angle towards the top. Then now you can finish this part, which is immediately seem a little confusing, but if you just focus on a little bit at a time, you'll get it. And you can, if you make a mistake, you can always erase it back like this. I made a little. All right, so there it is, and this goes all the way over here. I find it almost connects to the eye, but it doesn't. So I'm going to go over here, then you'll connect the mouth. Sometimes you'll have to adjust something so it looks right. So then we got that. You know, I don't want you to take too much time getting it super perfect, but if I think accuracy does matter, then your job is to make it look like the original image. But I also want you to have just the concentration to look back and forth, okay? And always keep checking your original image. So there's that approach. Then you can always just go from there and go to the chin, etc. Okay, so let's talk about the right side real quick, because I don't want to draw the whole thing in front of you. I don't have the capability of speeding this up in a time-lapse method. So the same thing with here. So there's 4. So once you bring your neck all the way out, let's see if we have this part right here. I have my piece of paper sticking underneath, so I had to move it. There's my chest, and it's going to hit the outer edge of box F5. If any of you guys, students, play Battleship, it's a whole XY thing. And you'll see as it curves over to here. Alright, so we have that. I like to establish that before I talk about the wing. I'll double line it real quick too. Alright. Like I said, if you make a mistake, go back with the eraser and make your repairs and go back and fix it. You'll just fill it in anyways. So there we have that part. So then you can go, there's 4. So always just check what you're doing and check your reference reference photo. So you go on the right side. I'm going to move it over because the paper's underneath and it's interfering with my pencil tip. So you notice over here it goes a little bit further, so I'm just going to move it out and draw where it goes. All right, so that's basically the approach we're going to take for the rest of the bird. So anyways, that's how you approach the right side, box by box. And the feet are the same way. So once you get done, and with the middle part, you're just going to have to point at the box or focus on the box or zoom in on the box that you're doing, then just match it up to the box you're drawing. So the feet, I always recommend to just focus on the feet. You could, if you print it out, you could fold it and just look at the feet, or you zoom in on your phone, or you could put it underneath. So if you're on the feet, you would just focus on the outer part of the feet, like there's C, 9C is here. A lot of people have a difficult time on the feet, but if you just start in the right areas and find the tangents and follow along, and if you make a slight mistake, if you see that you're going off, by all means go and correct yourself. And you have to get all these details, like that's part of the claw, and you got to make sure you draw all those details, so when it's time to fill them in, you don't miss any part of the C and D. So that's a bit of a stretch. So I'm going to draw that curve first, and I'm going to join them. I think this is what most people struggle in. Now look in the middle of D. That's where that middle claw goes. So finding the middle, I'm drawing that little curve, and I'm going, make sure I go over there, D and E, So D and E is here. So double checking, otherwise you might get off the path that you need to be. So I noticed this could be a little lower. So I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. Then I'm going to go back up to here. It's going to have a tangent of here. I'm going to put a dot there so that I can meet up to it. And I know it ends there, so I'll put a dot there. All right. So putting a dot on a tangent or on a line could be a helpful tool. And I know this part is right here, so I want to put a dot right there so I can just draw that line. All right. Then you would double line everything as you see. And this is the point where you're just filling in the rest of your details. All right, so that's basically the whole approach to it. And once you get everything done, you fill it in. You want to check it. If we were in person, I would check every box. So here's the finished version here. So the scope, make sure you get all the feather textures, top and every box. Inspect every box. Same thing here, all the feathers, all the little tick marks and little parts of the textures as you see here. I'm going to be looking for those in detail. So make sure you get all these little details, especially here on the right leg, on the left leg, the back of the left leg, the feet, of course, all the toenails or talons, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left foot, 1, 2, 3 on the right. All right, and different little details on the right feather wing. So that's about it. So whether you're working from a handout that you print out, or a cell phone screen or a computer screen, you'll just focus box by box as the instruction says. And remember, it come out like this, and the instructions are all here. Okay, concentrate just on drawing what's in one square at a time, as it says. All right, so going from a small box, small grid, to a 1-inch grid, and it's grid enlargement, so you can make something of one size as big as you want with this concept. You can make it a whole building of a wall if you wanted to. All right, good luck, students.